Hey, what is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at why Hecarim top is now S tier and gaining a lot more popularity over the past couple patches, especially over in Korea. We're going to be breaking down why it works, how to play it, and the setup you want to be running on the champion. So with that being said, guys, let's get started. So what makes this pick work? Why is it stronger up in the top lane? Well, number one, it's gotten a lot of direct and indirect buffs over the past couple patches. He got a buff to his Q in 10.11, damage on that got increased, buff to his ultimate back in 10.6, fear duration on that ability got increased, teleport got a buff a while back to where it now gives you movement speed, so that synergizes really well with Hecarim's passive. And then also, whenever you die now throughout the early game, you get those home guards, so that also synergizes really nicely with Hecarim. If you end up dying in the laning phase, and then you TP back to lane and you got the movement speed from your TP and the movement speed from home guards, it can just allow you to pick up a lot of kills that you wouldn't have been able to in previous patches. It also does have very good meta matchups at the moment. It does very well into a lot of the most picked top laners. Only top laner he tends to struggle against right now is really Darius, that's in the meta. Most of the other meta bruiser top laners he either goes even with in laning phase or he beats right now, so he can do a really good job at snowballing early on in the laning phase. Now he's a really strong duelist as well. You take Conquer on your Hecarim top, you take Ignite as well, and with your Q, consistent damage there, with your ability to stack up Conquer extremely quickly, with your Q on a short cooldown, it just makes it so that your level 2 all-in potential is extremely strong, and a lot of players are just not going to understand that, and they're really going to underestimate how much damage you can do in the early game. So it just allows you to really cheese out these early kills and get a very early lead on this champion. Even as early as level 1, you do have some good kill threat in the laning phase with Hecarim. Your Q being on a very short cooldown allows you to deal a ton of consistent damage there. So if the enemy is playing a weaker early game top lane champion and you can just walk at them, get your Q stacked, use your Q on them, have your corrupting potion ticking, then you're just going to deal a lot of damage to them and out trade most top laners early on in the laning phase. Once you at level 2 with your W, you trade extremely well too, and then level 3, your all in just becomes really good because you can just charge at them with your E. If you have Ignite, then you can just all in them, burst them out really quickly, and just get yourself a very early lead. And then once you do hit late game, his TP flank plays with home guards are just basically a guaranteed free kill. You get extra damage with Hecarim the more movement speed you have from your passive, right? So if you have home guards, if you take Ghost on your Hecarim top, then you're just going to be able to delete whoever you want on the enemy team. So it basically makes it so that as long as you're not super far behind in the mid to late game, as long as you have your items on this Hecarim top, then you pretty much just make it an instant 5v4 for your team with those flank plays. Now for how you should be looking to play Hecarim first throughout the early game, you can look for those level 1, level 2 all-ins. You just want to make sure that your Q is stacked up first. If you don't know, if you use your Q on minions or on the enemy champion, you're going to gain a stack, and the more stacks you have, the more damage your Q is going to do, the shorter cooldown it's going to be on. You can get up to max 2 stacks, so you just want to make sure it's fully stacked before you do try to go for an all-in. And then once you do get that stack there, if you have your W active, your Q fully stacked, and you have Ignite, like you just deal a ton of damage there at level 2, and you can outduel most enemy top laners. Now when you use your W and trade with it in the laning phase with Hecarim, it's actually better to use it when you're in the enemy's minion wave as opposed to just using it when you're just dueling them alone from the wave, because if you don't know, with Hecarim's W, it's going to heal you for 30% of the damage taken by enemies from any source within the area. So if you're using your W and there's a big minion wave that's taking damage from your Q and your W, you're just going to be healing from a ton, so it just allows for you to sustain really well and for you to win those 1v1 duels extremely easily in the laning phase. Now when you're all-inning with Hecarim in the laning phase, or when you're charging towards the opponent with your E, it's really important to try to get in behind them first before you actually use your E, because if you just use your E and jump right on top of the enemy, it's going to knock them further towards their tower, which you don't want, right? You want to knock them away from their tower as best you can, so by getting in behind them and then using your E, it's going to knock them closer to your tower or knock them further away from their tower, and it's just going to allow for you to have more time to all in them and more time to deal damage to them. Now once you hit the mid game on Hecarim, how you want to play him is just shove out your side lanes and then look for flank plays. He's one of the best flanking champions in the game, and he's not a bad split pusher as well. You go Trinity Force right as your rush at him, so you can take down towers pretty quickly. But if you're shoving out the side lane and you see the enemies like overextended mid and you can look for that good flank opportunity, then take advantage of that, because coming in with your E and your ultimate, it's just very easy for you to engage and pick up kills on the flank. And then for the late game, you kind of just want to play on the same thing, right? Look for these flank opportunities, look for these dives on the back line, see if the enemy is grouped up so you can get a multi-man fear off that can single-handedly win you a fight. You can also be just looking to sit in base with your teleport, have your home guards. If you see a good TP ward, just wait for the enemies to either overextend a little bit too much or something, and then you TP on that ward, get in behind the back line, and just burst the enemy squishy target out. So that's how you should be looking to play Hecarim once you do hit the late game. Alright, if we move on to taking a look at the setup now for the pick, first for builds, there's a couple different variants to the build that you can run here. You want to go Trinity Force Rush every single game. That is your one core item on Hecarim that you don't want to pass up on. As for your second item on the pick, a lot of Korean Hecarim tops do prefer the Death Dance right now. The Trinity Force into Death Dance, really insane sustain you get from that setup, really good dueling potential. There's pretty much no champion, there's very few champions in the game that can beat you in a 1v1 if you got your Ignite, your Conquer, if you're taking Ghost, and if you have that core setup, it's just really strong on Hecarim. And then as for your third item, Spirit Visage is really good. It's a great item for Hecarim, just adds to his healing, adds to his dueling potential. So if the enemy team does have a decent amount of AP, I'd definitely look to go for Spirit Visage there as your third item. And then there's some variants to the setup as well here. You can look to go for Sterix instead of Spirit Visage if the enemy team doesn't have a lot of AP, or if you just want more damage. You can go for an off-tank setup to where you go Frozen Heart into Spirit Visage, just be really tanky in fights, soak a lot of damage for your team. And you can also go for like a Righteous Glory as your second item. A lot of Korean Hecarim top players do really like to go for this item. It just makes your engage extremely strong. So if you're snowballing really hard in the early game, if everybody on your team is doing well and you just want to be constantly forcing fights with the pick, then the Righteous Glory is just going to allow you to do that really well. Moving on to runes now for your Hecarim top. Conquer is giving you the best keystone pretty much every single game. The only thing you'd be really looking to swap up is your secondary tree. So it's either going to be Inspiration or Sorcery there. So Inspiration, if you're in a more difficult matchup, if you just want more sustain in the laning phase, or if you're newer to the Hecarim top, I would look to run this page. The Biscuits and the Time Warp there with your Corrupting Potion is just going to give you some really nice synergy, really nice sustain there in the laning phase. Now, if you're in an easy matchup though, or if you're very confident you can all in the first couple levels, then you can look to go for Nimbus Cloak and Celerity. Really good synergy there if you're running the Ignite on Hecarim, because the Ignite is going to give you the movement speed from the Nimbus Cloak. Your passive is going to be giving you a lot more AD there from that movement speed from the Nimbus Cloak. So just overall, really good synergy with Hecarim, and it is a page that I would be looking to take if you're very confident and you're looking to play more aggressive early on. Now the Phase Rush as well is somewhat of a niche rune on the Hecarim. It can do really well into champions that can kite you out very easily, or into champions who do have high value skill shots they need to hit to beat you in the 1v1. I'm pretty sure we've seen this on the Hecarim top up against the Aatrox even in the pro scene, and the reason why it can work really well in that matchup is because Aatrox needs to land his Qs in order for him to deal a decent amount of damage to you in an all-in. Like if he doesn't hit his Qs against you, he's not going to beat you in the 1v1. So by running the Phase Rush into that Aatrox, you can just jump on him easily, just run around, dodge out on all of his Qs. He's not going to deal any damage to you. So in those type of matchups, the Phase Rush can do very well on Hecarim. And then for your summoner spell choice on Hecarim top, you can look to try out either the Ghost with the Ignite or the TP with Ignite. Both do have their pros and both are very strong on the pick. The Ghost is going to give you more kill threat, more snowball potential in the early game. The teleport's going to be a little bit safer. It's going to allow for you to look for those TP flank plays in the mid to late game. So look to try out both and see which one you do prefer on the pick. And then for the ability maxing on the pick, you want to be maxing your Q out first, your E second, and then your W last. For the ability order for the first 3 levels, you do want to always be taking your Q at level 1 there. The ability you take at level 2 though does kind of depend on how the lane is going. If you've chunked the enemy out really hard at level 1, if you've got them to like below half HP, and you can just level up your E at level 2, charge at them, and all in them with your E and Ignite, you can take your E at level 2. But if the enemy is like pretty much full HP, or if you don't have them in lethal range there at level 2, you always usually want to be just taking your W level 2 there. So it kind of does depend on the game, but most games you're going to be taking Q level 1, W level 2, and E level 3. And then for a couple of Hecarim's more difficult matchups, some of the best bans if you're playing this champion right now, the Darius is one that he does tend to struggle into. Darius also does have a very strong early game, does have very good snowball potential as well. So if you do make one mistake in the matchup, then the game can pretty much be over for you, because Darius is just going to keep beating you up in the 1v1. The Kled there can do very well into you, because if he lands his Q, he gets grievous wounds, and it kind of just counters Hecarim. Like Hecarim does really well because he's got a lot of sustain. He can win 1v1s because because of that sustain, and the Kled kind of just cancels that out there with his Q. The Poppy with her W, you can't really jump onto her with your E, so it's just a very annoying matchup. And then as for the Quinn, ranged top lane champion, especially if Quinn like runs phase rush into you, then you really can't jump onto her. It's very difficult for you to do anything up against Quinn, and she kind of just kites you around throughout the entire game. Alright, so that is going to be all for this video, guys. Hopefully this does give you a pretty good understanding as to why the Hecarim top has been making its way back into the meta over the past couple patches here, and as to why it's now one of the stronger top lane picks that you can play. If you guys enjoyed the video, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.